ready to start. And first I want to welcome the people who are new here. We have Joe and anyone else here? Hi, welcome. Welcome, great that you came. And people online. Scott? Hi.
Scott, meeting.
And I'm here. Here. Probably, I hope people online. Is probably certainly one of the largest photography clubs in Indiana, and very active with photo shares like tonight, and tech tips like tonight, and so about 8 focus groups for people with different interests. And we have field trips. We've got one coming up that I'll mention in a minute. And speakers from out of non-club speakers and exhibits. So there's one over at the wall right now, our annual jury exhibit. So it's really, I've been in this club for quite a long time, and I think I want to say quite how long, but it really, I've learned a lot, just talking to people for one thing. So welcome, and thanks for being here. So I just mentioned the exhibit over at the Waldron. So Rose, did you want to mention a little about that?
Yes, for the new individual that are here, my name is Raoul Bishai, and I am I guess, chair for our committee. The Waldron is one of our biggest and the only jury exhibit that we have for our club. So all the members are encouraged to give some images, and we get jurors outside of the club to be able to choose them. We had our grand opening last Friday, and it was absolutely wonderful. It was very busy. We have a lot of traffic that's coming in. We had food and drinks in there for people. We had some old friends that came in. It really was a very wonderful experience. And by the way, that show is going through the rest of September, and we're going to have another opening for the same show in October 1st, and we'll go through the rest of October. The Waldron hour are limited, but they are posted in the website if you would like to go visit them sometimes. Just see what kind of work we're doing.
Thanks, Rose.
Thank you.
And apropos, I'd just like to tell a little story about something that happened. It gives an example of the character and personality and the nature of the photography club. One of our members, Eddie Relic, he was there at the hanging. I was there when we were hanging them, and I saw on the table a lot of 4 cards, and they all had Eddie's name. They were the ones that show, we put up under the pictures, and they were all sitting there, and I knew that meant that Eddie had gotten 4 pictures in. You could only submit 5, and to be there, over 200 submissions.
It was 207.
So for people to get 1 in, very good, but to get 4. So I started teasing Eddie. I said, Eddie, what did you pay the jurors to get 4 pictures? It must have cost you a bunch. Well, he got his back to me. Finally, he turns around and he has this glum expression. So it turns out, long story short, that he had been away for 3 weeks, had gone to pick up the pictures he had printed and framed, and they were so poorly done, though he trusted this person with other things, that he just said, I'm just not going to hang. So several of us said, Eddie, that's not going to go. We're going to have to hang them. Let's figure out what we can do. So he goes to get his laptop, and then he comes back with an even more glum expression after a while. Can't find his car keys. Can't get his laptop out of his car. So here's what happened. Robert Kaiser, Carol Kaiser's husband, drives Eddie to his house to get his car keys and again his laptop. And Don Waters takes Eddie to his home, and Don prints on his printer all four of Eddie's pictures and uses the frames that he has hanging around to frame them, and Eddie gets everything back and everything. So.
And it was very happy.
We stand up for each other.
Yes.
So I just thought that was such a great example of what this club is like. I just wanted to. Okay, we have the 4th Street Fair, and we have people who were actually there and signed up. Fabulous. So Kip, would you like to mention a little bit about that?
Certainly. Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone who helped with the booth. It does take a village. We had a setup team, a breakdown team, and we had teams that staffed the booth throughout Saturday and Sunday. In some ways, it was less than ideal circumstances. It was hot. It didn't have the same amount of traffic that we've had in past years at a different location. However, we did get, I think, a record number of people who signed up and expressed an interest in the club, and that is the primary purpose of why we are there, is to let the community know that there does exist an active photography club here in Bloomington. And some of those good people are here tonight, and we thank you for coming to this meeting tonight. And we hopefully will look forward to seeing you at future events and activities. And if you want to fill up your calendar, there's something every month, numerous activities, field trips, workshops, celebrations, and much more, including the exhibits. So welcome to everyone, and thank you to all who helped make it possible.
Thanks, Kip. About things that are coming up, we have a field trip in September 15 through 17, the Shawnee National Forest. That's over near Harrisburg, Illinois. Obviously, it's another night. It's not very far. It's what, a couple hours. There is more information about this and how to latch on to people who are going in the newsletter. And anybody who signed up for the 4th Street Fair will also get the newsletter, which comes out every Sunday morning and has a lot of information in about what's going on in the club, what's coming up, what meetings there are, how to join a focus group, and about this field trip and so on. So all that information's in there. For the October meeting, we have excuse me, as I said, we all kind of alternate photo shares, like tonight with speakers from outside the club. So next month, Gail Moore and Tom Potter will be our presenters. They're naturalists and photographers with the Riviera Camera Club in Indianapolis. They specialize in large format black and white film photography, and their photography has been exhibited in quite a few galleries, including the Pictura Gallery here. So that'll be interesting. Laura, and does anyone else have anything they would like to add?
Speakers will be here in person.
Okay.
Want to speak with them after their presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. So now our program for, first of all, a tech tip by Ruth here next to me, urban light photography. And then after that, we'll have our photo share at 2 topics, black and white photography and / the other topic, who am I? Every year we have a meeting at in November where we pick the topics and the speakers and so on for the year. So that's nice. Thank you.
All right, my name is Raoul Bichet, and I'm been member of this wonderful club for a while now. Can't say enough about the club, can't say enough about the members. We learn something new from each other every single day, every single meeting, every single discipline of photography we learn about. So with that, I was asked to present a very simple thing about night cityscape photography, capturing urban beauty after dark. And I'm going to see how I can make this short and sweet. Okay. So with that, obviously, welcome. I'm gonna, this is just something that sentences that I read somewhere and I wrote it down there. Welcome to the world of night cityscape photography. Together, we're about to discover the magic of capturing cityscape illuminated by artificial light. So everywhere around us, there is light at night that we ignore. You do not have to go far to find out. Bloomington City is one of them. You just have to look around. We're going to learn the technique to create captivating and memorizing night shots. It's not really difficult. You just have to have some equipment, and we'll talk about the equipment, or we'll talk about the requirement of it. The photos that you see here is taking you through different, I travel quite a bit also for work. And it seems like when you are in a hotel room and you sit in the very high, 16th, 17th floor, you have a great sight of city night. Okay. All right. So as anything else you require some equipment. So we're going to talk about camera, lens, tripod, and remote shutter releases. Those are the equipment that you will need to do those things that we'll talk about. A DSLR or mirrorless camera with manual setting is ideal for the night city photograph, but that's not necessarily true. Cell phone does a wonderful job, and we'll see some of those examples later on. Lens, wide angle lens, 24-35 millimeter will help capture the whole view, because you wanna go as wide as possible to capture a street scene or whatever the case is. So the wider the lens, the better. As a matter of fact, I've seen some, not myself, not pictures that I took, but I saw some other people taking pictures with wide, with fish eye, which is very wide angle. And the way it distorts the light looks really awesome. So that's one thing I need to try sometimes. Tripod, that is a must. It is essential for stabilizing your camera during long exposure. And that will go for the cell phone and for your DSLR camera. You have to have a tripod if you are taking night shots. Remote shutter release, that reduces the camera shake during long exposure. If you're we're gonna talk about long exposure later. And if you're gonna use those long exposure, whether it's a few seconds or a few minutes, you really need a shutter release for that. However, that even not necessarily required. Because also you can use a timer. If you put it in 10-second timer and then you put the shutter release, that will give the time to work. But again, it makes it handy and it makes it easier for you to take the photographs. Camera setting. When I talk about manual mode, and manual mode, because you really do not want to have the camera make any decision during this time. Most of the DSLR camera will give you that manual mode, so you can take control of the aperture, the shutter speed, and ISO. There are a few times when you will use some other settings, such as aperture priority or whatever the case is, or shutter priority if you want to control some of the speed. But most of the time, you want it to really be in manual mode. Low ISO, debatable and required. So debatable and required. What I mean by that is very simple. You want a low ISO in order for you to get clear picture. Otherwise, you're going to get with a lot of pixelation and a lot of artificial things introduced to it. But also remember, now we have also post-processor. So if you could not get the 100, 400, that's ideal. You can go higher. And today's in mirrorless camera, by the way, you can go as high as 1600 and it's still good. So that even gives you a little bit more leeway for that. Wide aperture. Use a low f-stop such as f2.8. You will do the shallow depths of field and you'll get more light this way. But I will talk later on about actually using 16 f-stop and why would you want to use it. Location. That's what you always say in any trade, location, location, location. So you're going to search the angle of location, foreground interest, and safety. I'm not sure how safety was this picture I told. This is a picture out of Bloomington, Indiana, from the top of the 4th Street garage. And we went up in there so I can see which church is this? It's a church in there, and the moon was up in there, and I just wanted to get some, the angle that I wanted to get it out of. I had to see in the top, I had to be in the top. You'll see the picture later on of that. Angles is to find a unique point of view for it. So don't be satisfied with just one thing, and sometimes you may have to visit the same location 2 or 3 or 4 times to find out which one is better. What angle you're going to take this thing with. Foreground interest, obviously, if you have something in the foreground that's interesting to the viewer, that will make it. And safety. If you go out at night, please take somebody with you. There's always, safety in numbers. You know what I mean? One of the things that even without the nightscape in the cityscape, if you're going to do night, I don't know, maybe the Milky Way or some star terrain or whatever, don't go by yourself. If you go by yourself, listen to softer music or something so you can alert the animals that you are there. You know what I mean? It's night. Nobody sees anything in there, including animals. All right, to talk about timing, and there is basically, those are the 3 golden time for photograph, and that's not necessarily always available to you. You know what I mean? You may be somewhere outside of blue, but ideal. What is the blue hour? It's the very shortly before the sunrise and after sunset. That over soft and diffused light. So if you have something in mind and you want a soft and diffused light, this is the best time you go take this picture to go to the blue hour. Golden hour, on the other hand, it's warm, soft light during sunrise and sunset. That's to enhance the color. So if you want to enhance the color of something, maybe leaves or whatever the case is, that would be, you'd want to go in there and take the picture in the golden hour. At nighttime, that's what we're talking about today. It's capturing the city vibrant light and the contrasting shadow. And you can do that very well in any city, including Bloomington, Indiana, again. Composition technique, rule of the third. Again, in that picture, very much, I think, have all of those elements in it. Rule of the third is place the key element along the grid line and intersection. Again, when I am talking or giving tech tip about these rules, those are not etched in snow, in stone. This is something that you can modify as needed. If you see a good picture and you cannot do it in the rule of third, take the picture. Don't be abide by that. Leading the line, using roads and bridges, building to guide your eyes. Where do you want the eyes to go to? In this case, I want eyes to go to the city through all this road or that bridge. Symmetry, capture reflection, mirror image, or balance composition, especially if you are around water. And you will see a really good example of that in the Nile River later on in one of my other photographs. Frame within a frame, a unique architecture element to frame your subject. There is few people in here that can talk about different architecture better than I am. But I see some buildings like last month I was traveling through San Antonio and I found every time I look in my window from my hotel room, I see this building with these 2 things going up in there, and I finally had to ask what this is. And said, this is the Batman building. It's an AT&T building. So I start taking pictures of the building. Long exposure. Traffic light trail that would capture the movement of vehicle using slow shutter speed. That's when you're using 20-second exposure, 5-second exposure, 6-second exposure, depends where you are to capture the light that's coming to you. Here is where we talk about the f-stop, star burst effect. To achieve star light bursts around light sources, you use a narrow aperture, that's f16. And you can see a little bit of it in here out of the slide. I think this was an f11. This picture was taken in f11. And you'll see again a better picture of this, but this is the Blue Ghost. It's an aircraft carrier out of Corpus Christi, Texas. A light painting, and you see that toward the very end, one of the picture, and that's to add creative touches with handheld light source. So you can have a battery, and you, and how many people are not familiar or familiar with light painting, but you have a dark area, and then you take the flashlight and you open it, and you kind of paint the subject when you are having long exposure that give it an effect. Silky water, photographing bodies of water with long exposure for the smooth looking. So this is actually water in here, the blue and the black, and you just smooth, just like an area. Setting for long exposure. Okay, you have your bulb mode. This is one of my favorite because you have a manual control of shutter speed beyond the camera limit. So if you want to take, the camera limit is 30 seconds. And your phone, for example, doesn't even have 30 seconds. I think it has like 3 or 4 seconds. But to control this, okay, you can do it with bulb mode, which means as long as you have the shutter pressed, it's open for as long as you want. Okay. ND filter, that's a natural density filter. You use those in your camera to be able to have less light coming in for longer exposure that you can take. Aperture priority, that's one time that you can use an aperture priority to balance the depth of field and exposure for creative effect. So as I said, all these rules are not etched in stone. They are something that I modify all the time. Every time I go out there to take a picture, every single one of them, I modify, depends where I am and what I'm doing. Am I going too fast? I hope not. Post-processing, okay, raw format. I shoot in raw format and I use cell phone photograph. By the way, the picture before that was in cell phone, but we'll come to that later on. Even with my iPhone, I can shoot in raw format, and I believe the new Samsung or Android, you do have setting short up in raw format. The reason you do that gives you more flexibility during the final touch that you're wanting in postal process. Noise reduction, and I talked about that earlier. You could not obtain the 100 to 400, and you have to shoot in 1600, 3200, or whatever the case is. You may come to a postal process and you start using the software to address those noise that get introduced to the photograph. Contrast and saturation. You enhance the color detail to make your image pop. And that's the only two things that you do there with photography, really do your contrast and saturation. You play with those sliders to get your image to look the way you want it. Crop and straighten is fine-tune composition and alignment. So the picture you see in there, again, was taken out of one of my hotel rooms in San Antonio, Texas, okay? And I can't remember whether it's taken by my cell phone or not, but that was a long exposure. And then I cut all the other stuff around it, but that's what I wanted to see in my photograph for that night. Right, so this is street scene from San Antonio, and you'll see a lot from San Antonio and Corpus Christi, Texas, but I just came from there. So I was preparing my my tech tip when I was on the road. Study other photographers. This is one thing of my favorite. I learn from experienced nightscape photographers. I'm not the best guy there is, because I will never be the best. I will always be seeking something new to learn. And the only way to learn it is from others. Okay. So I know quite a bit. If I am trying to go outside and do a day photograph, a night photograph, a bird photograph, wildlife, whatever the case is, before I go out for my time, I would go and study other people, what kind of angles they are doing, how they are doing it. Experiment with light. Now that's an interesting. Create technique shots by incorporating different light sources. So when you go out in the street, just look and try to put light together. You know, some of the street lights, some of the incoming traffic lights, some of the signage. In this case, some of the decoration, which you will see later on. All right, so nightscape photography offers thrilling and rewarding creative experience. It really does. By mastering camera setting composition and post-processing, you can capture stunning and unforgettable urban scene. Get out there, explore your city night, and let your creative shine. And honestly, truly, you know, as I said, this is one thing that you can do anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. If you can't sleep at night, take your camera and go outside. Here you go. So in those particular 4 shots, that the upper right, it's from the river walk out in San Antonio, Texas. The upper right, it's the blue ghost, and we will see a better picture in that in a little bit. And those 2 pictures are from San Antonio, Texas, and both of these, by the way, out of my hotel room. All right, this in here is using actually, well, I don't know if you were with us or not.
No.
You were not with us, but Jack Speak. Jack Speak was the one who's twirling all these lights right here. That's
Steel wall.
a steel wall that he lighted on fire and twirled it. And this is a composition of 2 images. So originally we went into to the lake to take a picture of the Milky Way, which is here. And then after we took the picture of the Milky Way, we decided to introduce the element of lights and let him twirl it and take a picture and then compose both of them together. This in here is the Blue Ghost. And the Blue Ghost is an aircraft carrier that's right now, it's a museum in Corpus Christi, Texas. And I was integrated with it. I did not actually see it lighted at night until the last day I was in there. But they called it the Blue Ghost because during World War II, kept getting report that was sank, only for it to appear somewhere else. And they had the color grayish blue in the aircraft carrier itself, so it can, you know, just match the ocean or the sea or whatever the case is. And now once it's turned into a museum, at night they light it up. So that's what that is. I will take a question before I go and show few slides or a few picture of just night photograph. If anybody had a question, just let me know. Yes, sir. I'm listening.
Ideas for alternates to a tripod when you're traveling, if you don't want to carry one. Sometimes I lean on the window, but what do you use? If you can't carry a tripod.
If you cannot carry a tripod, I would, well, you know, there is any number of things. One, you can drop it in something, you know what I mean, high. And then if you do not have shutter release, then you use a timer. And you can do that. You do not have to carry a tripod with you. As a matter of fact, I know this trip I do not have a tripod with me. You know.
So you're just like using the natural stuff around you, like say steps or a wall to hold it against, or like a, you know, something that's just part of the city around you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends where you are. You find all kinds of things. I mean, even if you are in the city, you find something. Okay. This is Bloomington, Indiana. This is from the top of the 4th Street parking lot.
Depending on how long your shutter speed is, if you hold the camera really steady and put it on a rapid fire,
Yeah.
start exhaling the air out of your lungs. If you do that, you just let it fire away, and you're going to get, you know, maybe 10 shots. One of those is probably going to be sharp.
You are right, except like I did not say that, but well, I guess you're right. If you're a young man or you have steady hand. I have COPD, so I can't breathe as is. So just breathing, my whole body.
Bang, 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 bang. One of those are going to be sharp.
Do you have First, you mentioned smartphones, using smartphones
Yes.
as a camera and how well those are.
Yeah.
Do you use the native app or do you have specific apps that you recommend?
I use both, depends on the side. I use an iPhone, it's called Camera Pro. In my iPhone, it's called Camera Pro. Camera Pro would let me shoot an absolute manual if I wanted to, so I can control everything. And I successfully shot Milky Way with it. So, you know what I mean, just by controlling the time and the ISO and everything else with that. But also you can use it just, you know, we're gonna have a cell phone exhibit in December. And you find out that that cell phone is very quick in your pocket, take it out. You know, you may be coming out to a subway or you are somewhere waiting for a cab and you see that scene that you can't go without, and you just take a picture of it. So this in here looking at water reflection with the light, with a very long exposure. This in here is not bring it in because this is not really city, this is desert, but I just happen to have it. Okay. This is Cairo during the night, and you got the leading light. This is that bridge called Qasr Nil bridge, and that is Cairo Tower of Cairo. And that was taken in 2008, I believe. This is in here is the Batman building that I was looking at all this time. They call it the Batman building. By the way, this in here, you saw a cropped picture of this with a flag on the top of it. So during my presentation. And this is again looking just out of my window. And by the way, this is a simple picture. I actually just kind of closed the end to the Batman building, and I just looked at some of the light, and that was handheld. So I just handheld and taking the picture.
Yes.
And I did not cough. I tried to. Yeah, I did not. I did not cough. Now this was taken with my Canon DSLR, and you know, again it was just handheld. Different view. Just tell you that you know, I mean, it just depends where you look, what kind of view you're gonna get. This in here I tried to get, but I'm wedged between these two buildings. I not find any place to be able to get to it. That's a bridge that I wanted to get it with the cars passing through it. I just could not find an angle, and I was limited in time anyway. So I was just taking some picture of that. This is Corpus Christi, Texas at night from the Omni Hotel. And just looking at their, you know, they have oil rigs in this side in here. And then this is the aircraft carrier. And this is called Shoreline Drive. Looking at. And unless you have questions for me, maybe done with my presentation. And I think I have extended my time.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Great job.
Any more questions before I let go? No?
Thank you. That was really good.
Now we will move on to our next venture. See what we have in here in this venture. So now we have sharing picture, black and white, and who am I? And the first one having to be Carol. Carol, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I just threw a bunch of pictures together this afternoon. But this was a day or two after Thanksgiving, and I didn't have all of my dishes put away yet. And I just liked the way the light was coming through the windows and with all of the shadows from the window fixings. So I just kind of liked the way it looked.
Very nice. Mhm.
I was in Las Vegas earlier this year for a conference, and one night I kind of wandered around the hotel, and this was up on the very top floor, and I just liked all of the reflections. Same hotel, but in the basement. And I just liked all of the different shapes. What really caught my eye was the circles on the ceiling. But I like it better in color, but I did kind of like some of the shapes. This is the roulette tables, I think roulette.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of liked it because when I first looked at it, I couldn't figure out which was front and back, and I just kind of like the way the depth kind of just confused me a little bit.
Very cool. Very cool.
We played golf. My son and I played golf one day when we drove about an hour and a half outside of Las Vegas, and this was taken from one of the fairways. We were kind of up in the mountains, and this was the golf course that we played on. It was a really cool course.
Very cool. Thank you, Carol. Thank you. Don, do we have the water in here?
We are done.
Oh, we're done.
Don didn't read the newsletter.
I guess
so-
not.
This is from a recent trip we took up to Mackinac Island. That is a sunset picture of the Mackinac Bridge taken straight on. Really liked it because of the minimalistic scene there, just the bridge on the horizon. And I also really like the way that the colors just kind of gradated into each other.
Yeah.
In the water and in the sky.
Very nice.
On Mackinac Island, you are not permitted to drive a vehicle. So everybody's taken around by horse-drawn carriage. And this is the Grand Hotel with a horse-drawn carriage coming out of the parking lot. The only motorized vehicles allowed on the island are emergency vehicles only.
Nice.
Also on Mackinac Island, they have a wonderful butterfly house that has over 70 different species of butterflies. This is just one of many shots that I took there. And I just like the way the colors of the wings kind of went in with the colors of the flower.
Very nice, Don.
Okay, at the end of July, many of us know is the Iron Pour in Salisbury. Always a really cool event to witness and photograph. People just gathered around the cauldron as they're pouring the molten iron into the mold, and the sparks are flying. And I just like the way that everybody is totally focused on the middle of the frame. And a couple weeks ago, we had a good fortune to visit a sunflower field up west of Indy. I can't remember the name of the field right now. But I tried to get that one sunflower off the side, make a whole skyscape. Besides that, there were 7 acres of sunflowers. Every sunflower seed had at least one bee on it, so it was a really great place. Very colorful. Yeah. Oh, wow. And this was the full moon rising over Lake Lemon. We were sitting out at Little Point, looking east over the lake, and it just was clearing the cloud bank and making a nice reflection on the water.
Thank you, Don. Good job. Jaime is with us.
I'm right here.
I think Jaime is right there.
Yeah, I'm right over here. Weekend I got to shoot for the 4th Street Festival. For those guys, it was a lot of fun. So most of these are for there, but one of them will be for, last year's local, Lotus Festival, we'll probably have to tell.
Oh, this is great.
These are just, street photos and full personalities. I don't know these folks, you may recognize them, they're from here, I guess.
That's digital or so?
This is good, all this, yeah. I just ask these folks, mind if I take a picture?
That's awesome.
I like that one.
Yeah, me too.
Love the glasses.
LA is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't ask her, but.
Bits.
This is for photos.
That's those bits. This is great picture, Jaime.
You should look for a Lotus can.
The reason I asked Jaime whether it was film or digital, because we also have a filming group within our club, so shooting film. He's one of the leads.
I did shoot film this weekend, but I haven't shown it.
Okay. Great, thank you, Jaime.
These are mine, and these are all very low key, very dark. I've been experimenting with that, and I'm actually, the first 5 are ones I'm submitting to international competition called grayscale competition, is black and just black and white, and I would be nothing short of a miracle if I got even an honorable mention. But what it does when I submit pictures to these, this is the second one I decided to enter. I just learn about, and I have to go through my pictures and find the ones I think are actually good, and then I work on them, and so it's really good learning experience. Anyway, these are all very low key. These little boys were in the town of Cahors, France.
Right, it's light on their heads.
Hill trip.
Oh dear.
In Rome, waiting for bus.
Like the blade with the shadow.
Took a lot of things out of this. So I took this from top of the bus in Oxford, England.
What answer?
One is at Monte Cassino, Italy.
Did you gamble?
What?
Did you gamble? Did you gamble?
Gamble?
Yeah.
No.
No, okay, that's all right. It's not bad if you did.
Wow, he really had to go.
Yes. Really have to go.
Yeah, this is water park at the Cars Farm.
Very nice, here black and white. Great job. Thank you, Juliet. And of course, we're going to put power. What do I expect? Okay.
Well, let me just say, I don't shoot a lot of black and white, but sometimes it calls for it. This woman, who many of you might recognize, she was one of our models at the portrait workshop we did this year in May. But she had bright purple hair, and while it's interesting to look at, it's kind of distracting in an image, and so I converted this to black and white, and hair is taken with a single off-camera flash camera frame.
Actually, that being in black and white, you're right, because I know the model, it brings your eyes out. You know what I mean? So your eyes being featured in that picture, really.
And, again, one nice thing about black and white is it does simplify. This is, taken by it's natural light by next to a window. And, yeah, it just kind of simplifies it, brings your attention to I think the character.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful young lady.
This is how to be young and in love, taking long walks on the beach. And, this is a couple I met actually when I was in Costa Rica this year. They asked me to take their picture. And, these guys are waiting for a boat to go fishing. And their buddy rode up on a bicycle. I liked it in black and white. For what it's worth, this is taken with a cell phone.
I love the shadow days in that
Out
picture.
of the bike.
It just makes.
I'll have you know that's early morning shadow.
Wow. Good for you. Very good.
That's the golden hour.
That's a golden hour. Here you go.
And, as photographers, we look for repeating lights.
That is the perfect repeating line.
So when you see them, you shoot them. And,
I didn't see him.
and this is also a cell phone photo. This is on the bridge there, Beeline Trail.
Oh, yeah.
The bridge that leads into Switchyard Park. And I like the cloud formations, and this is the technique of what they sometimes call fishing, where you set up and you wait for something to occur in the image. And this person was kind enough to
Show up in time.
show up at that moment, and boom.
I think Cartier-Bresson did that quite a lot.
Yes, and he's a great one to study.
Very good. Very nice, Kev. Thank you so much. Martin.
Okay. This is a picture I took of Diana Scher. She was singing at a jazz festival, and wasn't great conditions to take pictures, but I took a picture of her, and this is what I got.
Very nice.
This is the first picture I took that kind of led me into the club. I had a Minox that I inherited, and we were in Barcelona, and I was standing in the subway. It was the first day we were there, and I saw these guys across from me. And in sociology, which is my field, we talk about people not acknowledging other people. I forgot the word now. But anyway, this was just a perfect example. Everyone was looking in a different way, and nobody was facing anybody else. So I took this there, and that's kind of the first picture I took in getting an interest in taking pictures, and I joined the club and bought another camera with the help of people in the club, and this was where it started.
Perfect.
This is just a farm I saw east of where I live, and I was waiting for someone to drive me back to my home, and I was intrigued by the wires as well as the perspective, and it just caught my eye, and I thought it would be a good picture to take, so I took this picture. This was a picture I took in Odessa before the war, and I'm very sad about what has happened to that country. But in any case, this was downtown Main Street. And these women were talking, and they talk with their hands, and they seemed very happy, and I just snapped this picture. By the way, all these pictures except the subway were originally in color, and I simply made them into black and white. So I didn't take them originally in black and white. And I have two more pictures, I guess. One more is these are just flowers. I thought when I turned it into black and white, I thought in a way it was standing out more than when it was in color. And I kind of like this picture and being in black and white. And I have one more.
Yep.
Yes.
Right here.
And this is the stork that brought me to my family when I was born. Really. And I saw him and I recognized him immediately, and there was mutual recognition. And the stork that was in I forgot what city in Romania, where there's a lot of storks, and they all build their nests on the top of the phone poles. So you see these, you see loads of these, and anyway, this was the stork that brought me into existence. So that's
Very
it.
nice. This is great. Thank you so much, Martin.
You're welcome.
And we have Lolo. Oh, wow, that's good.
Most of these are landscapes. This was taken in Colorado National Monument. And I'm not exactly sure what the tree is. It's a small tree. I think it might be a juniper. I don't really know. But again, these were all color photographs that I eventually turned into black and white. And this really popped as a black and white image. And it kind of reminds me, I call it the ghost tree of Colorado. It kind of reminds me of the dying tree, ghost-like figure with his hands reaching up to the sky, maybe praying for some rain. That's not gave up with. It also, it's hanging in the Waldron, and it also was up in a gallery in Noblesville for about a month. This was taken in the Badlands. I think I was at the edge of the Badlands. I don't really know, but this butte kind of was hanging out there by itself, all out in the flatlands, and so I grabbed a shot of it. This is in the Grand Tetons. I took this recently in Salt Lake City on a hike, and I just like all the features in it: the trail, the tree, the clouds. The field was very much yellow, ground cover of some kind, so you can see how the yellow kind of splits the image in half. So I kind of like it. These are not the same kind of repetitive lines as it. Sorry. This is at the Uppanon, in Nashville. I kind of like the lines, the black and white, and off into the distance.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Frame within a frame, and the young lady, reading a book, using shade to stay cool, so. That's pretty. And Devil's Tower. There were no aliens.
Oh, really?
It was a place I really wanted to go to. Because of the movie.
That's cool, Charles.
Yeah.
Thank you all for sharing these great pictures. Oh, I guess it's me. Okay. Well, I took this literally, okay? So I took this absolutely to the letter, to what it is supposed to be. Let me see if I can move this around a little bit. Okay, so this is who am I, or who I am. My name is Raoul Bichet. I'm born to this young lady, Mary Kamel Bichet, and my dad, Riyad Bichet Yunan. Was young, growing up in Egypt. I have two siblings, Murad and Rafiq. We were pretending to be sailors. We loved going to summertime to Blizzard Cool Russell Bar, and we used to pretend that we were sailors. This is my dad when he was young. That is the many faces of me, I guess. Okay. So I came back from Desert Storm. I left my son, which he was 8 months old. When I came back, he was 18 months. But I guess like father, like son, and you can say from the expression, both almost have the same expression and the same pointing fingers. I don't know what does that mean, but I became a Boy Scout as the kids grew up. And after my military career, I also chased bad people. I chased some of the international terrorists and some bad people in the United States, and that was a picture of me getting training somewhere. And this picture have all the credit to Kid May. That's when I took photograph, and we were sitting in here, and he took this picture of me. And this is here the whole gang. That's myself, my wife, 44 years old, 44 years. Like 44 years old, but we've been married for 44 years, so that doesn't work. I have my, I know the picture is not very clear, but I have my whole gang. I have my son, my daughter, and my grandchildren. I have 4 grandchildren and 1/5 coming in the way. Next 2 pictures are just pure black and white. So this is a barn. Most of you from this area that goes to Nashville probably run into this bar on the right-hand side of the road. I know that Dorothian photographed this bar quite a bit. And I photographed this bar in a shoot. I was mentioned to do a shoot for a couple and their kid, and I went in there, so I took this picture of the barn. And the second picture of the fence around this barn. And I guess this is not like the leading line we saw earlier, but it has a leading line and it has images. And that's all for me.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
I have black and whites, so everybody knows that black and whites very often were used like for reporting events by journalists. So this is kind of it was documented the Optic 2018. This is the conference for photographers, which is held by P&H Storm and other companies producing photo equipment. And this guy is Ron McGill. He's a Nikon ambassador, so he represents Nikon. And his one of the companies is a National Geographic. So a lot of photographers, they shoot for National Geographic and other respectful magazines. And so Ron McGill, he's very, very excited man. This photo was taken at the beginning of his presentation. It was something about Africa, tigers, lions, and all this stuff. And you see his expression? By the end of presentation, he is roaring as a lion. And his hands all over the flying everywhere. So I made a lot of shots of him because he was very expressive. This is the most expressive
Animated.
photographer, yeah, like. This was taken in Chicago, 2017, and there was this statue. It was kind of visit from the past or something like this, and it is gone. Later we visited Chicago, and it is not there anymore. So, like, you see, the president came to our nowadays to see our life, and I kind of like it. The weather was overcast, but and this was made in Chicago too, and you can
It's interesting.
in the color picture you can hardly see this bubble. So I picked one that you can see the bubble actually on the side. So I kind of like this landscape or cityscape with little distortion. This picture was made in Rome, and it was some kind of garden with a little pond, and there was a statue like this laying down in this pond, and they're sleeping or napping, and the ducks.
The ducks appreciate the dryness sometimes.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, this is black and white. Also, give a good kind of abstract photography, or this is a cactus. And this is interesting sculpture. It was found it in Nashville, Tennessee. It's it has reflective part, like the side of it. So it's interesting shape.
Like the way you capture it. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Come here. I saw Tom earlier.
Yeah, I'm here. I follow Don, actually.
You see?
That's
what happened when you fall down.
Unlike Ralph, I did not convert mine to black and white. So these are, there's one black and white in here. So these are tulips that were photographed with a light panel behind it. And then I use textures, a texture layer in Photoshop to create the background for it.
Very nice.
Oh.
That's cool.
And this is in Denali National Park, a doll ram, just sitting up on the rocks.
All right.
Very
Good
nice.
contrast to the white and black.
How close were you?
Not really close. I had a long lens on.
What you got?
When you're
800?
at the park, you have to stay on the bus, basically.
Yeah.
So, this is in Western Massachusetts. It's a river, a house on a river. I can't remember what the river is or anything else. I just really liked the image. And obviously it was not this fall. It was last fall.
You soften the
I actually used to paint that location. Yeah. And I'd forgotten I had done that.
Great.
But it did give me that light.
Yeah.
And the next one is a black and white and the same thing.
Yeah. Very nice.
There's our traditional Brown County Park.
Yeah.
State park.
It's coming soon.
It is
Coming
coming.
in
I have never gotten good images there. So I was really happy with this.
This is pretty good, actually.
Yeah, no, I like this one. The sky is really, I don't know what makes it. Yeah, we got the sky.
All the deep colors.
And I don't know where the heck this is. I mean, that's a real forest there. And I can't remember where it came from. But it was a weird kind of setting.
I love it. Well, Tom, thank you again.
Thank you.
It's a great job with everybody. I did not miss anybody, did I?
Teddy,
Teddy?
Teddy.
Did I miss Teddy?
He's
Oh,
right
Teddy.
next to the top.
Yeah,
How
just before
come?
me.
How come I just totally
Skipped over.
skipped over you, Teddy? It's not very nice at all. That's not very nice.
I shot this a couple months ago in St. Louis at the Arch. Wow, the clouds were just perfect. There was sunlight rolling across the arch and all around that area. And you actually got the sun peeking out from the clouds.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of the texture in the arch itself, with all the stainless steel.
Yeah.
I took this a couple of weeks ago in Greenland. If you were to look out to the left, there'd be icebergs floating over here, but,
Right,
there's a fence road that just sort of goes off to nowhere. We have a lot of these, like the weeds, just like you see around here, but they're a little bit more coarser. I'm not sure what the name of them are, but they are just, it has a little bit more character that you would normally see here in Indiana.
That's where that Greenland.
Yes. Just on the other side of that ridge is the Western Hemisphere's, I think it's the oldest Christian church. Founded by the Vikings.
It's interesting.
This again is in Greenland. This is
That's
just
awesome.
panoramic of about 6 images. So if you saw this, it's a very, very large image altogether, and the skies are really dramatic. If you go to Greenland, it's spectacular. You've never seen so many jagged ridges and mountains. You just almost get sick of them. Wow, there's so many of them. And of course, the sunlight, it gets cloudy, then it gets sunny. It's very much like Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
So you get these rolling sunbeams all over the place. It's just like the glaciers on top of everything, waterfalls melting down into the ocean.
You can do a lot of these videos.
This is about who I'm about. I'm mostly, my claim to fame is macro photography, which I'm trying to break loose of that, although I still like to do macro photography. I'm using a low macro wide angle lens. It's holding the camera, just like you might guess. My camera was opposite of the beam, pointing back at myself.
Cool.
And that lens is a tricky one to play around with, and it isn't like a toy. It's a lot of fun, and you just have to keep trying, and you try to take, I probably got 17 shots like this before I actually got one that worked.
What kind of lens?
Although one wide angle macro.
That's really awesome, really. Still got it. See, I kept Teddy for the end because he had some cool pictures.
Manual focus. Oh, it's all manual focus. Yeah, there's no automatic. That's why you have to play around with the line.
Yeah.
Great job, Teddy.
Thanks.
I'm gonna stop sharing in here. All right, since we have a few more minutes, we can basically, if we can take some time to talk about the different disciplined group. Ooh, wow, what happened? What happened, Amy? I know if Kip wanna give us a quick about point and shoot group and cell phone and the cell phone exhibit. We just fill people in. We have a couple of minutes to do that. I mean, we have plenty of time.
Certainly.
Please.
Well, for those of you who are new, because we are such a large group and so diverse with so many interests, we have, years ago, we formed subgroups called focus groups. And one of those focus groups is called the point and shoot group. It started out being just small compact cameras, and kind of the idea was to show how you can create great images with a simple camera. You don't need tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. That's coming from someone who owns tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And over the recent years, the cell phone or the point and shoot group has kind of evolved to become mostly about 90% of those are cell phone pictures. And last year we did an exhibit at the convention center in the month of December and it was an exhibit of only cell phone photographs. And I would stand by that exhibit as a great example of what's possible with that little device everyone carries in their hand every day. And we're going to do that again this year. If you find that you enjoy taking photographs with your cell phone, let me know. We'd love to have you sit in on one of our focus group photo shares, which we do every other month. And it's a great group to belong to. And if you're not careful, you'll have a good time in that group too.
And that is the only requirement, that you take the picture with cell phone, by the way. And then we have also Matt, talk about the macro group for a little bit.
Sure. Matthew Hicks, I facilitate the macro group. We also meet once a month. Doesn't matter what you take a picture of, as long as it's something that's close up or very small. That's all we really care about. Again, all levels of skill set for that. So National Geographic is not necessary. We'll take a cell phone. There's actually many members of the macro group that use their cell phones, and regularly every month are bringing what they are just shooting in their everyday lives. I also try to facilitate some outings, so just going out to parks. I've had some people come over to my house because I'm a big proponent of native plants and plantings. So my house looks a little wild, right in the middle of the city. But in fact, most of the photography that I use that I perform is just right around my house, just outside my door. Yeah, it's macro group. Everything's small.
Zach, you want to say something about the creative group?
Facilitate the creative techniques group, and that is anything outside the box of straight photography. Obviously, a lot of stuff worked on in Photoshop, Al Asperberg, who does black and white font pictures of buildings with the sky is very dark. Then there are people who do all kinds of strange things with their photograph, but come out really interesting. So we meet by Zoom because then we have a chance to show each other how we did something, if we could remember.
So that's one thing about creative group, because you do something and you walk away, you come back and do something else. Now we don't remember what you did in the first place, but you come up with something. Hey Zolt, are you in the mood to talk about our lawn group?
Sure. Lawn again meets monthly on the Monday, every Monday after the main meeting. So next Monday is the next lawn meeting, and that's For those of you unfamiliar, that's landscape, architecture, wildlife, and nature. So a pretty broad spectrum of subjects in photography. Next week, we have no program, but there's always a photo share. So send in your pictures and we'll share them.
Thank you, Zolt. And then Jaime, you can talk about the film group.
And the critique group.
Okay,
Hi, my
the
name is
critique-
Dallas, two groups, the film users group. We meet every other month, next one's in October. Anything film, any subject that you have, but if you're interested in film photography, there's a small group, but we're powerful. And, so if you're interested and you're a member, I have free cameras, your first roll is free, I can give you those.
Back here.
And then, we get donated equipment and I donate it back to the club. So if you're interested in film, if you don't know how to develop, if you know how to develop, we have chemicals and stuff. I have dark room in the house. Shooting secretly for you, anything that you want. We also have the critique group, Kate, Elvin and I share duties on that. We meet once a month. And for that, since we have so many groups that teach you about all the different techniques and stuff, this group is not so much about techniques, but the mood, the aesthetic of what you're taking pictures of to achieve your goal. And sometimes we talk about a little bit of technique to help you maybe achieve your goal better. So we meet once a month. The next one, I believe, is the 28th, the fourth Wednesday of the month. So I'd love to see you there. And by its nature, it's a photo share and a discussion.
Yeah, if you guys have not been in a critique group, at least, once or twice, you really need to, because you learn a lot what other people do and what they can do. And I missed Bob Ren, I just saw him that he's there. Thank you, Bob, for being there. And okay, well, Kip, you have another group that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also run the portrait group. When we started this group nearly 20 years ago, the world's population was 7 billion and now it's 8 billion. So we've got a lot more to catch up on.
Yeah.
Now, tonight I met Bill and asked him what kind of photography he liked. He says everything except portraits.
Oh, no, it's not coming to your group, Kip.
I didn't know.
But if you enjoy photographing people, whether that be formal or informal, candid or set up, whatever, and if for no other reason than you have children or grandchildren, you should be taking photographs of your family and documenting that. And as you become known as someone with a camera, whether you like it or not, someone's gonna ask you to take their picture, they need a new headshot or whatever. So if you're interested, we have some great people in that group that are happy to mentor people. And we've done workshops in the past and it's another fun group and we have very low standards, so if you're interested in the portrait group, let me know.
Alan is not here by any chance, is it? I mean, can you speak a little bit about the spuds?
Sure.
Please.
Spuds and the film group, we kind of go hand in hand. We're same guys in the leadership part of it, like that street.
Streets,
Photojournalism, urban documentary.
Sports, that's what it is.
yeah, everything there is.
Yeah, it's everything else, the catch all. And it's focused on that. Lots of great photo shares for doing that. And then we will meet together a lot of times. I feel like one's gonna come up, not this weekend, but next weekend. We'll do a photo meetup somewhere downtown and walk around and take a bunch of pictures and have a lunch or something like that afterwards. So before the winters comes, we do actually, somehow we don't get caught, and the last one is really cold, so we'll do that one. Probably next, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, we'll get together with all the group, all the whole club at once, and we'll take a street shots. So if you look on the website, you'll see, and Facebook group, you'll see the links there for the different groups that we have, the focus groups. You can see the leadership, you can see the type of photo they take. If you're interested, send an email, join up. It's great.
Is Becca in there by any chance? I'm not sure, I did not see her name. But we have another group that's Serpentinity. Am I pronouncing this? right?
Serendipity.
Oh, yeah, whatever that is. It started, actually, this group started because of the COVID. We're sitting home and it was way to take picture of things around you because you really did not go out. So that's how this group started. And I'm a member of it. A member of a lot of other groups. But basically, this is the place where you want to come. It doesn't matter what your picture is. We don't talk about technical. We don't talk about how great it is. We talk about why you took this picture. That's it. And every now and then we'll have some kind of theme, black and white theme or Christmas theme or whatever the case is. They should let you talk about it. You will remember that group.
You covered it well.
So, I mean, that's what went. The reason I brought those up is for all the new coming to understand that we are a club with so many disciplines in the photographs and the photography. And we have people from seasonal hobbyist to professional. And I still did not, did we ever decide how it was professional is? Did we ever decide what's professional photographer is? We never did, but anyhow. Really, honestly, truly, if you have a mean to take a photo, this is the place for you. If you are looking to learn something or dabble in something in you that you haven't dabbled with, there is somebody in this group that will have something to help you with.
There's also a circles of learning.
Circle of learning
Jack Speaker, and I believe
yes.
survey. And there's someone, I think Christy is part of that.
That is topics meet
Yeah,
every
Jack.
other month and on a certain topics.
Yeah, I didn't see Jack, but yeah, the circle of learning was done originally to so tech tip, as you see, it has to be really fast, but anywhere between 15 minutes to 20 minutes. You don't want to make it bigger than that. But then if you want to go deeper into a subject, that's what the circus of learning is. We see if people need a question about particular something, we want to really dig deep into it. So go deeper in how to use something or how to do something, whatever the case is. Again, all this focus group is created by these club members because we thought that this is a new discipline that some people are interested in. If you have a new hobby or a new something that you'd like to introduce, you are always welcome to listen to you. And I hope we did not scare you to leave.
I want to close with a
Yes.
thanks, with the plug for the Waldron exhibit. I'll try to put in the newsletter when the Waldron is open. It's that annual juried exhibit really shows the best work, the most diverse work, and there are 75 pictures there, and shows the variety of work in the club. It really such a good exhibit, and also, of course, you can see Eddie Relic's 4 beautiful pictures.
Well, thank you everybody for coming, and I'm gonna stop the recording for now.